Welcome back to Sustainability Matters. I'm Tria Case. Today we're focusing on CUNY's immersive climate programs and how experiential learning plays a crucial role in preparing students to tackle climate challenges. One of the standout initiatives is the CUNY Climate Scholars Program, which provides undergraduate students with a unique opportunity to deepen their understanding of climate change through research, internships, and hands-on learning. With us today, we have Ron Nero, Director of Research Programs at CUNY, who will share insights into the origins and impacts of the Climate Scholars Program, as well as other initiatives. We're also joined by students and climate scholars who will share their experiences and research. Ayanna Dickinson, who studies emissions transparency and urban climate policy. Jennifer Lay, who explores the connection between climate anxiety and pro-environmental behavior. Additionally, our Andrew Falzone met with Liam Cooper at Baruch College, where they discussed his work on ancient CO2. First of all, thank you, three of you, for coming here today. I really appreciate you coming into the studio and sharing your experiences with us. So, Ron, let's start with you. Hands-on experiences in the field that's sought after by students. Why is this important, and what are the types of programs that CUNY offers?
So why is it sought after? Because research has been telling us for many, many years now that hands-on experience is the best way to prepare students for success in any field that they enter. So the CUNY Office of Research has been committed to hands-on research that allows students to work very closely with a mentor, kind of apprenticeship style, and to explore and investigate what kinds of questions they want to ask, how they can devise answers to these questions. A stipend also provides them support, commitment to the program. They get to develop a sense of themselves as scientists, as developing scientists. And because climate scholarship happens throughout all of our programs, students, because they do come to us very concerned about the environment, they want to understand what's happening. They don't always know, though, whether they can develop careers in climate science. This chance to do hands-on research provides them with that opportunity to see what is out there. And also because we have symposia for all of our programs that bring the students together, they get to network with other faculty, with other students, and through that, they can understand what next steps they would like to pursue.
And you're offering these experiences at different points in students' education as well, right?
Yes, so the Office of Research provides research experiences at all levels. Our oldest and longest running program is the CUNY Research Scholars Program, which is for community college students, for associate degree students, and also the students at our comprehensive colleges. But now we have a program for transfer students, that's Transfer to STEM Student Success. So when they complete an associate degree, they can then enroll in that program and have support while they're at a four-year college. We have the Valet Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship, which provides support for students at all levels. And then our newest program, just this year with funding from the state of New York, is the CUNY Immersive Research Experience. We were very excited to get this new funding from the state, and it was through that program, the CUNY Immersive Research Experience, that again, that's for juniors and seniors, that we created funding for the CUNY Climate Scholars.
And how does the Climate Scholars internship work?
They enter into the program in September. They spend several months working on research experiences, just like all of our other CUNY Immersive Research students. They have a special track, though. They attend didactic sessions led by community partners throughout the city. And when it's all over, when it's all completed, after they've conducted their research and their internship, they will present in multiple different places, but also in the big CUNY Immersive Research Experience Symposium.
Amazing. Ayana, do you want to talk to us a little bit about your research and your experience with the program?
Yeah, definitely. So my topic is basically focused on ethical sustainability and business. And I'm specifically looking at the City University of New York and their emission reduction plans, and sort of how that fits into the grand scheme of New York City's reduction goals as well. And my internship that I started recently is with Inside Climate News. So that's a nonprofit news organization that reports on climate, the environment, and energy. So I'll be reporting stories mostly based around urban climate challenges and like New York and CUNY specifically.
You've been conducting this research, you've been interviewing folks. Did you learn anything that you want to share with us about either CUNY's emissions reductions or sort of the process in general?
Definitely. So I chose to do interviews because I felt like that was the best way to find information that I may not find just on the internet. And I met with specialists like you, and we're able to get a really good look on how complicated it is for CUNY to get on top of their goals, just because it has to do with the collaboration of the city, state, and federal to all come together to try to get all the campuses to become more green.
So you were also selected as a Pulitzer Center Reporting Fellow, and you did some work regarding the rainforest?
Yeah, so when I was at Gutman Community College, I was a research fellow through the Pulitzer Center, and I did a project on participatory conservation. So I got to travel to Ecuador, and we got to be in the Chocoin rainforest and interact with people who live in the community, sort of outside of the community, and I got to learn about one of the most biodiverse places in the world, and just learn about a new culture and a new place, which was really, really awesome.
So you used the words participatory conservation. Do you want to talk about that a little more?
Definitely. So participatory conservation, I think the biggest sort of aspect to take away from that is sort of outreach and education in communities when talking about sustainability. And I felt like my takeaway from that whole project is just how important it is to go out and educate people on why sustainability matters, how things that they do in their everyday lives can get ourselves closer and sort of everybody closer to these goals that we're trying to create for ourselves.
Amazing opportunity. I'll look forward to hearing more about that. Jennifer, so tell us about your research.
Yeah, so I work primarily with Professor Engel Friedman in the Sleep and Environmental Psychology Lab, and the focus of my research is centered around how climate change impacts your psychological well-being as well as your decision-making. So a couple of the areas that I've worked in is investigating the relationship between climate anxiety and self-reported behavior, as well as investigating how climate change impacts people's decisions to have children and their family plans.
So what have you learned about harnessing climate anxiety, and how can we use it to drive meaningful change?
The way that we approached it was sort of similar to the idea of stress reappraisals, and how reframing the way that you think about your stress or your anxiety can allow you to view the situation you're in as a challenge rather than as a threat. So we sort of took the same idea with climate anxiety, where climate anxiety is a real and could be a very debilitating thing for certain individuals, but it can cause you to act and cause you to engage in more sustainable behavior or engage in initiatives on the local level and really support your community in terms of how you can improve the environment around you.
And you also took a look at parents versus non-parents and the impact on their beliefs around climate change as well?
Yeah, so this was also part of a separate study collected during COVID, so I think it's important to contextualize it in that setting. But we did generally find that parents reported feeling more fear and anxiety around climate change compared to non-parents. And we thought that this could be the case because when you have a child, it does require a lot of cognitive demand sort of immediately. Non-parents, because they don't have that direct responsibility over another life, we think that they have greater time to think about these issues more consistently and view the situation as a challenge rather than as a threat. So based on these findings, we think that we really need to target learning initiatives for parents specifically and how they could deal with climate change as well as taking care of their kid at the same time.
Let's step outside our studio discussion for a minute and turn to our reporter, Andrew Falzone, who visited climate scholar Liam Cooper at Baruch College to explore his research further.
Liam Cooper is putting the finishing touches on a bachelor's degree in biology at CUNY's Baruch College. But thanks to his participation in CUNY's Climate Scholars program, he's already gained substantial research experience.
Faculty member, a scientist, a policymaker, any form of researcher will come and do a lecture for an hour and a half for us, and then that's weekly every Wednesday. For the fall semester, pair you with a research lab, so you'll be conducting any form of climate-related research.
And the research team that Liam is a part of is quite literally working on some pretty cool stuff.
So when researchers are looking for ancient CO2, the most efficient and sort of easiest way to do that is by drilling into ice cores, say in Antarctica, and then directly recording the CO2 content within those bubbles. But that only goes back to about 800,000 years. So what I'm looking at is how we can go back even further, say about 3 billion years ago.
Scientists study ancient CO2 levels to understand past climate changes, helping predict future global warming and its impacts. But if you want to understand more, you might need a biology degree of your own.
So we're using the Epsilon P proxy for ancient CO2, which we're essentially validating how cyanobacteria can be used within that proxy. It looks at the difference in stable carbon isotopes between fixed and inorganic carbon.
In addition to his work in the lab, CUNY Climate Scholars has allowed Liam to study abroad and do fieldwork. First stop, Barcelona.
It was a case study of Barcelona's sustainability policies and then connecting that, comparing it to New York City's sustainability policies. That was really interesting. My focus was comparing New York City and Barcelona's wastewater treatment systems and management, and so I learned a lot just comparing the differences between the two cities.
And not long after, Liam made his way to India.
That was through the CUNY India Pollution Study. We went to Mumbai and New Delhi and we studied air pollution. So we were studying the root cause of the poor air quality, specifically with a focus in low-income neighborhoods.
But for Liam, his interest in affecting change on climate change started closer to home.
My dad was a rescue helicopter pilot for the US Coast Guard. So at the dinner table, I would hear sort of horrific stories of just rescue missions that ended in success, great, or unfortunately didn't end in success. And a lot of the times he would talk about pilots' safety as a result of anthropogenic climate change, because frequent and more intense storms are happening, or hurricane storms are happening, which then directly impact pilots' safety.
But after graduation, Liam plans to change course slightly, shifting his focus from climate science to climate policy with a master's degree in sustainability management.
If you're going to be advocating for any form of environmental policy, you should know the environmental science behind it. So starting in the summer, I'll be going to Columbia to do my MPA in environmental science and policy, which I'm really excited about. And then after that, I'm going to law school for environmental law.
A soon-to-be CUNY alum making change in the world of climate change. I'm Andrew Falzone for Sustainability Matters.
So, Ron, let's talk a little bit about career pathways. What kinds of careers have you seen students enter into as a result of all of these internships?
So what I would say is we've worked with hundreds of mentors by this point, and we've had close to 2,500 students go through our programs. So rather than answering that comprehensively, what I thought I would do was just ask a few mentors in the past few days, where have their students gone? And so just that handful of mentors I thought I would bring in this list. We've had multiple students go on professionally into climate journalism, 3 cases of starting their own businesses related to sustainable development. One of those I thought was interesting because it's about sustainable fashion. One of the mentors has a student working in the NOAA Princeton lab, one with NOAA Fisheries. We had a couple of students go on and form An internet company, I won't name it just because we haven't asked the students, but the company is quite interesting. We have a student working at the U.S. Geological Survey, 2 students from one mentor working in professionally collecting soil samples in California, and 1 doing bird survey research related to climate change, also in California. If we were to have the word from all of our mentors, that list could have gone on very long, but this is just from 5 mentors in the last few days.
It's an incredibly important opportunity for students to be able to see what the possibilities are and to understand that there are different types of jobs that are out there. So
yes, and I should add also we have students that are working for the New York City Department of Transportation. We've got students that are working in multiple different health departments across the country. Those are not as quite directly related to climate science, but they're indirectly related because, of course, climate touches everything.
before we continue, I want to take a moment to highlight another important climate initiative at CUNY. Recently, the CUNY Graduate Center hosted the CUNY Climate Justice Summit, bringing together students, faculty, climate leaders to discuss pressing environmental and social justice issues. Our reporter, Kara Bital, attended the summit and had the chance to speak with participants and organizers about their key takeaways. Let's hear what they had to say.
We're at the CUNY Climate Justice Summit, a first of its kind, student-centered, community-based conference. Today we're going to hear from people who are directly involved in climate and environmental justice initiatives across New York.
Bringing together in one room CUNY students, grassroots leaders, and the backing of an institution like CUNY and the CUNY Graduate Center, dedicated as it is toward education as a public good, means that we have all the players we need in one place to achieve the solutions that we need. It does feel to me in this room like just transition is within our grasp.
The CUNY Climate Justice Hub is a partnership between CUNY and the NYC Environmental Justice Alliance, NEJA, a network of grassroots organizations across all 5 boroughs. Together, they amplify frontline communities' voices in the fight against climate change. From this mission, the first ever CUNY Climate Justice Summit was born, uniting activists, academics, and policymakers to drive real solutions.
What are some of the initiatives that NEJA is working on in this collaboration?
We have about 20 plus CUNY students who are participating in this fellowship. It's really to seed new climate leaders at CUNY who can not only organize at CUNY, but also in their communities where they live, work, play, pray, and all of those things. We have some interns who are actually been directly placed with our member organizations and all across the 5 boroughs in New York City. Then we have classes in curriculum where we have paired some classes and their professors with some of our members. So for example, The Point was paired with Professor Wong's class where they really helped with some of their work on the Last Mile Coalition. The Last Mile Coalition is really focused on regulating and making sure these mega e-commerce warehouses that are bringing floods of truck traffic and tailpipe emissions to neighborhoods, making sure that they're not cited disproportionately in EJ communities. And so one thing that this class do is help with truck counting, for example, assess the volume of trucks coming into Hunts Point, and how can we then maybe kind of assess the pollution resulting from that. The last final piece to the hub is the research teams, and they've done a lot of different interesting things. I know, for example, the good old Lower East Side, they worked on a community assessment where they're trying to better understand the perceptions and understanding of coastal risk and coastal flooding risk. That area was impacted by Hurricane Sandy. So yeah, trying to better ascertain what the community thinks and how they feel about climate change to better figure out what the community then needs, for example. So yeah, those are, I'd say, the 3 ways that we collaborate through this hub.
The summit featured inspiring speakers, including Attorney General Letitia James, New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, and many other influential voices, along with dynamic panels and interactive breakout sessions. Students had the opportunity to engage directly with the hub's key initiatives, gaining valuable insights into community-driven climate justice solutions.
My work is in biogeochemistry in different waterways around New York City, specifically the Long Island Sound. And there's a lot of contamination around waterways in New York City. A lot of the time, Black and brown and minority-based communities live near sewage outfalls that are in our waterways, making, their areas more contaminated than others. And so trying to bridge gaps and also get more information out into those communities so they know how to interact more safely with their water bodies is something that's really important to me.
Currently, we're now working on a zine. For anyone who's not familiar with a zine is, like a sort of like a comic strip. It's structured in a way where you can, enter in text, images, whatever you like. And the way we intend to structure our zine is to include maps of resources in New York City, like public resources, just information that could help out our communities who are facing problems with, either, let's say, overheating in the summer or asthma. The, pollution in New York City is not equally distributed. It's been a very humbling experience for us.
How have you seen students get inspired when they're involved in this kind of work?
Students and everybody else, a lot of time is very unaware of the history of this work, how much success has been achieved, how many fights have been fought and won. And when they hear about these struggles that have happened in Sunset Park, in Hunts Point, in South Bronx, in North Brooklyn, and all the great work that was done by these communities and how sophisticated and tenacious it was, then I think they see, oh yeah, you can actually, despite the challenges of the time, realize and build on these histories of struggle and how amazing these people were and are, and learn from how do you build it and just continue to expand. And that's what CUNY should be doing, right? This is what CUNY should be doing in this moment, is connecting with communities to help advance an agenda that protects the most vulnerable and creates a much more robust vision of the city.
If you're interested in getting involved with the Hub, please visit the CUNY Climate Justice website. I'm Kyra Baytal for EcoBrief.
That was an incredible event and hopefully gave students more ideas about where they can go after they graduate from CUNY. I guess that transitions me to you two. What got you interested in participating in the internships? And also, how do you see yourselves taking your learnings going forward? Why don't we start with you, Jennifer?
So when I was in high school, climate justice and climate activism was really pretty much at its peak before COVID kind of distracted us from it. But that was like initially where I got my interest in sustainability and climate action from. And joining Professor Engel Friedman's lab was a really great opportunity to go on like the other side of things. So not necessarily climate justice, but more researching how people perceive and behave in the context of climate change. So in the future, like Ron said, like climate touches everything. I hope to pursue a PhD in clinical psychology.
Yeah, for me, I think I've always been a little bit of a science nerd. I grew up attending programs at the Museum of Natural History when I was in middle school and high school, so it's always been an interest for me. My grandfather was also a geologist, and I used to think he was like the coolest guy ever, so I think I've always had a sort of a leg into the science world and sort of bringing in my passion for writing. I hope that that's a way that I can sort of keep going in this sustainability track in the future.
I would also ask both of you and Ron, how do you think students can best prepare for this kind of an opportunity? What did you bring into the program with you, and what would you want to let others know as they think about doing this kind of work?
I say like bring your curiosity in. A big part of research is having your own passions fuel the questions you ask.
Absolutely.
I think also just being passionate is something that people can really see, and I think it's really important for people in this industry to be passionate because it's such a timely thing upon our society. And I think just getting yourself involved, whether it's just like volunteering in the park or paying attention to your CUNY emails, because they really do give you really great opportunities that you can just hop onto.
Absolutely. And Ron, how do you see the Climate Scholars Program and other programs like this evolving to continue to help students going forward?
So it was a great pleasure that our office this year had funding to support the Climate Scholars. We are continuing to await word from the state to see about future funding. In the meantime, we have multiple forums to bring students and faculty together. So what we've started recently, this will be our third annual celebration this year. We bring students from all 22 colleges with colleges and schools with mentored undergraduate research experiences together. This year it'll be at May 23rd at John Jay College. When students are there, they can present their research on climate, on all subjects, and this is one forum that they can make connections, talk to people about the research that they find interesting, and say, well, how can I take that next step? And so it's through these celebrations, through these symposia, that we're continuing to support climate research and research across all areas.
Fantastic. You are all leading the way for other students to think about how they can take their learnings and bring it out into their future careers. So thank you for sharing your experiences with us. And Ron, thanks for everything you're doing at the Office of Research. And thank you all for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Please keep the conversation going and follow us, or send us a message on social media. Better yet, download our CUNY TV app. Join us next time as we continue to explore the most pressing environmental challenges of our time.